Okay, let's take a peep at the Nigerian stock market for market update. At this time, the index was down 2.63% at intraday, and it's countdown to the sound of the closing gong. Temple is right on the trading floor to update us. Hello, Temple. Good afternoon. So tell me why the heavy profit taken today, 2.63% at intraday down. What do we have right now?
Well, why do we have these losses we're having right now? Your guess is as good as mine. The fundamental says it all. We're currently at 2.65%. It's been fluctuating between 2.8% losses, 2.8% of losses, and now 2.65% of losses we have. We've seen less than R1 billion worth of transaction taking place and less than 80 million units of shares traded. So like I said, we have this decline as a result of the load shedding on major names that you can imagine. Dangote is down. Nigeria Breweries is also down. We've also seen the effects of the regulatory announcements on two companies. That's talking about Diamond Banks and Stanbic IBTC. Investors are really selling off on those shares despite the difficulty around the finding a buyer, to buy the junks around the stocks. Diamond Bank, for example, is down 0.08% to 1 naira 15 kobo, while Stanbic IBTC has lost 90 kobo. That represents 1.87%, down to 47 naira 10 kobo as we speak. Dangote Sugar in the conglomerate sector is also down. For Dangote Cement, which is the major market mover, it's down by almost 8%, while Nigerian Breweries, as I said earlier, is down 6.03%. However, there is an opportunity for entry. If you look at the insurance counter, you've got the ICO news that came into play this morning, talking about the private placements that has to take place, helping the market to stay afloat. Investors are buying heavily on that. It's currently trading at 90 kobo per share. Continental Reinsurance is another name to go for, as well as NEM Insurance that is currently trading at 3 naira 40 kobo, haven't moved about 10% this morning. Chimizi.
Now, this heavy profit taking we're seeing today, can it also be attributed to the fact that people are looking for money to take their children back to school?
I don't think we're seeing that sort of sentiment at the moment. I think what we're seeing is basically the fact that there isn't that one-off catalyst to drive anything. Remember that it is typical of this market in the third quarter of the year to experience a lull. The only thing, or the only seeming catalyst we seem to be having now is instead making investors to actually buy in, talking about the retail investors and the corporate investors, and that's the insurance sector I told you about. We all know the recapitalization and rearrangement program that is going on in that sector. So we've got investors really considering some of these names. Mutual Benefit is another company that will be carrying out rights issues. These are basically the ones that investors are going for. But for the main losses that we've seen in recent time, it's as a result of the exit of these offshore investors who are not really considering anything in the markets. If you also look at the debt side of the markets, they're really selling down. For a few of the offshore investors that are bringing in a bit of inflow, they are really considering the short end side of the curve. They're looking at the 19 days till maturity, the 30 days, 39 days to maturity, something that could make them take profit and exit, before the February 2019 general election. In terms of equity, they look at a bit of bargain hunting. That would be for the domestic investors, and a bit of bargain hunting to see what you can take, before December, before the general election, as it were.
Now, the week has just started, and I'm sure you must have spoken to some of the traders there. what is the outlook like? Are we likely to see this negative sentiment continue for the rest of the week, or would there be a respite sometime?
So we're saying sideways. What traders are looking to see will be possibility of a sideways trading. Yes, last week we were down compared to the previous week, but for this week, it doesn't look like anything positive is going to drive the markets, except if if the prices of these stocks that are now cheaper bottom out. Then we can then see the re-entry of a couple of investors who will want to, sort of come in with their bargain hunting, see how they combine. The only thing that we are hoping again that traders and investors alike are hoping on or bullish on right now will be this the insurance sector, and that will be if things pan out as expected, considering the 30-day ultimatum or 30-day October 1, 2018 deadline that has been given to insurers to recapitalize, depending on the tier 1 or tier 2 or composite insurance package that they are considering. Investors will continue to buy on these major names. We've heard, like I said, ICO. We've heard of the news on NEM insurance. We've heard of mutual benefits rights issue. These are just the areas that investors are likely to be pushing their funds to. We're not too sure if investors will consider the likes of Dangote Cement. The reason is because there is limited information on any reason to, drive into it. So, as it is, unless we see any major push in Dangote Cement by way of 5–10% investment on that stock, then the market is likely to be, to close southwards again this week. Chimeze.
All right, thank you very much for those updates, Temple.